I'm questioning if I may be a lesbian. For some context, I am 19 and I've known I'm attracted to women since I was 11. I have mostly used the label bisexual. I've switched from label to label, but it has always consisted of me being attracted to women. I currently use queer or sapphic because it feels nicer on my tongue. Have never really questioned my attraction either. Although I have questioned if I really even like men a whole lot. I have once used the label of lesbian once, but didn't last long and I got a BF. I was 13, since I questioned this a lot. I am an avid reader of the lesbian masterdoc. I read it and ultimately decided, well, of course I like men. I've been with and have loved men. But recently I have made some new revelations and said them out loud. Of course I find myself going to the masterdoc and of course, I scare myself because I think this time it finally clicked. I am sexually attracted to men. I could have encounters with them, but I don't think I could date them. I get icks really bad and it just isn't enjoyable as it is with women. I have had disappointing relationships with both genders and I would much rather have a disappointing relationship with a woman. I am giving myself to think about it before I really start using the label, but I want to hear from other people. Bisexual, homoromantic maybe? Lesbians aren't sexually attracted to men. This, to me, sounds like bisexuality. If you've rethought your orientation and continue to have interest in sex with men, that's def bisexuality. You don't need to want to have relationships with men to be bisexual. If I may make a gentle suggestion, maybe give some thought to whether you have some internalized biphobia going on. Something I've noticed a lot over the years is a tendency for people to experience orientation that sounds a whole lot like bisexuality, but then insist that lesbian/sapphic/queer sounds nicer or makes them feel more comfortable. This makes me ask, what makes people so uncomfortable with calling themselves bisexual? This is not me invalidating people in general. However, I also watch older people flinch when someone suggests that they might be bisexual, then say they're not like that. There is a huge amount of biphobia inside the queer community, and a lot of bisexual women have experienced the way some lesbians treat them with disgust for sleeping with the enemy. When I connect this with all the small bean lesbian love is so pure stuff online, I think it's clear that there is still a lot of pressure to dissociate ourselves from the stereotype of being slutty, perverted, and unreliable. Men aren't actually fundamentally predatory or gross, and I think TERFs have done a great job of reinserting that narrative into the community. I'm 28, have eyed as bisexual for a decade, and I still brace for nasty comments when I tell queer women I'm bisexual. People tell me it's a phase, that I have compulsory heterosexuality, not what that term means, or I'm trying to stay in the closet. At this point I'm much scarier and unafraid of sticking up for myself, but I know the impact it's having on me. This is only something to consider. Remember, I am one voice on the internet, and your happiness is my priority. Low-key, I think it might be internalized biphobia because I have a history of internalized homophobia. I do see a lot of discourse on whether biphobia is real or not, along with me generally just having weird experiences with men. Thanks for your comment because it helped a lot. I'm still young and I learn new things about myself almost every day. The joy of being a bi woman, or being treated like a woman, is the endless question: am I disinterested in men or how many of them behave? Who you're running into that's discoursing about the existence of biphobia, but they sound like wieners. Dressing that shit up in progressive language is just insult to injury immo. Throw them into the ocean where they can be biphobic all they want. 19 is a hell of a year. I felt like my brain was reshaping itself once a month at least. You're doing great, and immo, the best thing you can do for yourself is a seek and destroy mission against guilt and shame. Am I lesbian or am I bi? Recently, I realized I've been really fawning over any type of non-male. I am gender fluid, but I tend to lean more towards femme. The thing is, I have dated men, but as I look back at old experiences I realize that I felt a lot of dread and I sort of felt trapped. Any conversation I had with the guy was either intense flirting with some sexual tension here and there, or it was as if we were only friends. I found myself letting the relationship be one-sided on their end. They genuinely liked me, and I felt very constricted. And my standards for men are extremely high. My desire to date men and have sexual relationships have decreased significantly. And it sort of icks me to think about kissing a guy or have any sexual relations with them. I have never dated any women, but I do love women, I know that. Thin, thick, tall, short, masculine, feminine. I don't care, my standards for women are much lower than my standards for men. And romantically speaking, having children with a non-male seems more appealing to me. Having intimate relations with another non-male is not icky to me at all. Your word choice here is interesting. Remember that not all non-male people are women. You can be bisexual and only attracted to women and non-binary people. But if you're only attracted to women, and not just people that aren't men, then you're likely just a lesbian. I think it depends on what you mean by non-man. If you're only interested in women and people who are perceived as women, then you are probably a lesbian. What if it's because I prefer more feminine features or characteristics? I don't mind trans femme, non-binary, or gender fluid, etc. But anyone with male characteristics just doesn't appeal to me, likely personality-wise. If I don't mind anyone else, I'm presumably bi with no preference for men.